Alright, it's Monday night and it looks like class might be canceled tomorrow. So my plan is to make probably 3 videos for about 10 to 15 minutes each and have that be the lecture and put it up on YouTube or Zoom just in case we do get canceled tomorrow. And I realized I better do this now in case the power goes out. So given that it's Monday night and there have been no storms, obviously you'll be getting this later in the week, but your quizzes were due on time, and your quizzes for next week will be due on time, unless there's an extenuating circumstance. And it better be pretty extenuating, but I guess we'll see how the next couple days go. Also, you do owe me a draft, 2 to 3 pages, by noon on Friday, and that holds unless things just go to hell in the next couple days as well. Alright, so this is the first of probably 3 videos. This is Macro 2 Summer, and this is video number 1. And so first we'll be talking about the memos, and I'm going to give you all some pretty direct feedback. I thought overall actually these were really good. A couple things that you did well and a couple things that you can improve upon, and I'm going to hand yours back to you with specific feedback, but overall I thought y'all did a good job of keep staring at the one right on top, but you did a good job of describing the problem and also a solution. If you look back at the assignment, the assignment was very clear in terms of what the expectation was, which is this happens, so take a stand. Either implement the fee or don't. If you do, explain how much and why, and if you don't, explain how you're going to make up the financial difference. So most of y'all did a good job with that. There were a few people who you wrote it well, but I wasn't sure what your solution was, and that's problematic because that was the point of the assignment. So, but I didn't beat anyone up too bad. This was the pretest, and just wanted to kind of see where you were. Plus, you'd never done anything like this before. But just go back, I guess, when you think you're done. And 2 things: one, review the assignment itself. Make sure that you hit everything. So if I was just going to check down the list of check, which I didn't. But if I was going to, would I be able to based on what you provided? Number 1. Number 2, and this actually was much more widespread. When you think you're done, go put it down, take a walk, whatever you need to do. Come back to it half an hour later, get dinner or whatever, and look through it one time, not for the content itself, but for just how it looks, because there were a lot of formatting inconsistencies, grammar inconsistencies, spacing, that type of stuff. There's a lot of spacing, even multiple fonts, and that stuff shouldn't be a big deal, but it does take away from the idea that you're presenting. So spend a little bit more time in editing to make sure that it looks clean. If you've just looked at it too much and you can't do more, I totally get that, but get a spouse or a family member or a friend, just bribe them by buying them dinner or something like that to look at it. Spacing we talked about. Like I said, your logic was pretty good overall. There were some assumptions that y'all made in terms of what was or was not allowable, and be very careful when you're making assumptions, and at least know that you're making assumptions that you can back it up. I've done that before, where I've made assumptions and they haven't been true. I thought they were, but they weren't, and I got busted on it. So just be very careful about what you say. If you're making declarative statements, that's okay. Just make sure that you can back it up and that you know that you're making an assumption and that you can back it up. Some of these needed a little bit more detail in terms of the numbers, the financial impact, the number of staff, the number of clients, those types of things. Some of y'all did a really good job. Others of you just kind of wrote, and you needed a little bit more on the data. And data can be people as well as money, as well as clients, as well as staff, everything else like that. It also helps to break it up for the eye. You know, if I'm reading 3 or 4 or 5 pages in a row, if I'm your supervisor, you know, my eyes are going to kind of get crossed after the 3rd page, but if in every paragraph you have a couple of numbers, that's at least going to break it up visually for me. Again, spacing, grammar, sometimes they need to be specific. make sure that you're using professional, accurate, and precise language. The way we talk, we might say something like, "We have, you know, we have a hole," instead of saying we have a financial deficit, or we might need to make some client cuts instead of saying we need to reduce the number of clients that we serve. So just be careful that you're using a written language instead of a spoken language, which is going to be a little different, and that's perfectly fine. Good. Um, y'all did a really good job in terms of looking at the rollout of this. Who is going to be implemented? How are you going to communicate with them? What meetings you're going to have when? That was great. Those are details, but they're very important details. So good job on that. Again, keep it technical. Instead of saying being short, saying we're in a financial deficit or something like that. Y'all did a good job of not overusing I. I just wanted to see a couple of I's, especially when it got to under my professional judgment as a social worker is, and that's fine. But there wasn't a lot of I running throughout that, and that was really good. Again, spacing. Some of y'all showed your math in terms of how the numbers added up. I think that's great. That's what I like to do as well. I would have that, kind of give the summary first, and then have little asterisks, and at the bottom have it match up to what the math looks like, just to make it easier for people instead of having lines of numbers. You had some very creative solutions. Again, making sure that you have some data is important. There were a few places where I put AWK. That meant that the sentence was pretty awkward, and it kind of took away from your point. And so, again, hope that isn't too harsh, but just wanted you to be able to see that and do with it what you will. Yeah, overall, like I said, I thought this was a great start to the semester. So thanks for doing this. I'll get this back to you the next time that we meet, and this will end, I guess, a little bit early. The first part of the lecture, and I'm going to go ahead and try to post this to YouTube right now just to make sure that I've got the functionality in case the power goes out. And be checking. Well, I guess you'll already know by the time this happens, but be checking UH downtown tomorrow to see if we have class or not. All right, thanks, y'all. Into part 1.